Well, folks, welcome back. Episode 2 of Talking Derry City, Season 3 now. And the League of Ireland is back with a bang, Kev.
It's a bang, definitely. President's Cup, Derry go down to Tala, get the 1-0 victory. Darragh Markey with a goal. James McClean sets him up. Has a bit of popular Rovers fans who made him feel welcome, in inverted commas. And then, well, I suppose we can discuss then in the press area after the game. James had a bit of a pop with a journalist everybody knows about is Paul Rowan. Basically, James says, look, I'm not going to be speaking of this man in the room, so either I go or Paul Rowan goes. Well, James went. Paul didn't leave the media area. And basically, I think Tiernan and Darragh Markey went too, and me and yourself and Michael Keeley went with them to get a bit of an interview then. But I think you would know better than after it. I think Tiernan possibly was going back in to the Dublin media as such.
Well, just to sort of paint the bigger picture of that, because that's what it all came out afterwards, that James didn't speak to the journalist and refused, walked out of the Tala media room and stuff like that. Okay, what was it like? Because there must have been about 20 journalists on there, and it was just about the three maybe of the Derry media.
Yeah.
And we all were kind of just standing, didn't know what was going on. We were proper blindsided by the whole incident. It's actually, it dates back to, I think, an Ireland-Austria qualifier game, doesn't it? Like where...
It's fought something James and Martin O'Neill may have said in the press conference, and Paul Rowan may have sort of
reported on it, and FIFA were involved, and it's obviously James hasn't got over that, and maybe rightly so. He didn't want to speak to this particular journalist. Now it happened the way it went. It was either James going or the journalist going, and the journalist was basically, this is my workplace.
Yeah.
This is a media room. I'm staying put.
If you want to go, in fairness, he said to the rest of the media, ourselves and the Dublin media, do you want to go out and speak to them? Go right ahead.
Yeah. So at this point in time, we're buzzing after a fantastic game of football. Derry won the President's Cup, and it was everything was nice and rosy. We're going to get our interviews and head up a road. This put a bit of a...
It was an absolute spanner. It was a spanner thrown on there, definitely.
But the funny thing was, well, maybe it wasn't too funny, but we followed them out because Tiernan was there and James. Obviously, we're going down to get the Derry City's perspective, like for our outlets, like.
To be fair, to be fair to Tiernan, when we asked him, Tiernan, do you want to do a bit? Tiernan says, listen, we won together, we lose together, we stick together, and we're going out here.
And it's very much that siege mentality that he wants to instill here as well too. So he was sticking together. Well, the Dublin media didn't think that was the way to go about it. It looked maybe like James was kind of calling the shots in that regard, like, and they weren't too happy with that. But we went round the room, and it was actually round the corner and the room next door. So we did our piece with Tiernan and James and Darragh Markey, got our stuff done, and yes, Tiernan did sort of think he was sitting outside while Stephen Bradley was on with the Dublin media and was double thinking, should I go on here now? And I think Lawrence was going to go and see if they needed him at that stage. But then it was all, you know what, this is the way we do it. Like we're sticking together. It's an all for one kind of thing, and you can see that's the mentality that they're trying to drive into that dressing room, which is not a bad thing either. But
no, and I would like to sort of point out too that all three of them were going to go and speak to the Dublin media. This was not the case that they weren't going to. And I do know that one of the Dublin journalists did meet James and did meet Tiernan before they got on the bus and got quotes and talked about the game and whatever. So, they were going to be doing any interviews if needed. People made their decision that they didn't want to. I stand by that, no problem. I have no qualms with that at all. But look, it's one of them incidents, as we sort of jokingly says going up the road, it's a glorified pre-season friendly, and it's gone crazy.
It is, and that's what James McClean's bringing to this league. We talked about it last week. He's just bringing fireworks. Like even if we look at his performance on the pitch, and the $1 million question before the match started was, where's James McClean going to play? I
think he went everywhere.
He was
He was
everywhere.
right back. He was right wing back, and he was midfield by the time the kickoff. And the amount of guesses everybody had done.
Aye, but even when he was playing, he was switching a wee bit. He was playing that. He was falling on for Brandon Fleming to get forward or left back. But he was playing that 6 role, but was more advanced as well too than the Manchester would have been. And he played it really well, and he added as a wee bit of bite as we expect off James McClean under that midfield. You know, when he had obviously the set up a goal, brilliant, taking him on. It's just James McClean at his best there, just taking him on the outside,
back the years,
clipping it in with the left foot, and Darren Markey's inside of the boot off the underside of the bar was fantastic finish. But there's James's reaction end and just you know quieting down the Tala fans who were calling him all sorts.
Yes, that's a right way of putting it, folks.
So it was good. It was just good. It just brings that bite. I think it's been the missing kind of link with the Derry team in recent years. Now you've had your big, aggressive, big personalities on that team, but not like that. Not driving them on. There's a wee bit of bite in that midfield. It was a competitive, friendly. But there was a couple of tasty wee tackles that sort of set the tone for the game, didn't they?
It was, like, I no doubt about it. As I was saying to you off camera, like, Sligo Rovers aren't getting that type of competitive edge going into next Friday night. And that's what we can talk about the President's Cup when you're going back up the road with a trophy and all that. It's all about Friday night. Sligo is more important than the President's Cup. And come August, halfway through the season, nobody's going to be saying, do you mind that night in the President's Cup? We won it.
No, but they will be saying, just domestic trebles on.
No, folks. This is what I'm dealing with every week. But no, I suppose we can get these sort of our pre-season preview, I suppose. When you look at it now, we have to talk about the champions at the end of the day. Rovers are still going to be the team to beat. Michael Noonan, we're recording this on Sunday night. It looks as if he's not going to Germany. I think Stephen Bradley's still trying to add players to his squad. Mulroney came in, young lad from UCD came on as sub.
I was impressed with him.
Do we think they're still the team? Remember, they had Burke, Gaffney,
well,
boys that weren't playing the other night.
Yeah, the team that he put out. Now there's a couple of young players on there as well too that are talented. There's no doubt about that. But if you were basing it on that team that played in that first half, then Derry have a massive edge on them. Now, when Grant came on and you had Dylan Watts and Healy, who's been outstanding last year, and he'll have a good season this year, you would say too. Once they get going, they've had 2 pre-season games because they've had a bit of a hangover from the European crusade that they went on that just finished there just before Christmas. So it'll take them maybe a while to get that full swing. But when those guys come on, your Gaffney, your Burks, you've got Jack Byrne who was on there just back from Dubai and his rest, maybe a wee reset, a new haircut too. But when he got going, and there was only like a wee maybe 10-minute spell in the game where he was bossing it a bit. And if you get him going and you get all those guys that we mentioned, then they're the team to beat. They definitely are. They've won 5 out of 6 league titles, and it's not by chance.
No, and then obviously we'll go into more detail about Derry City, but then you look at Shelburne, finished third last year, Joey O'Brien. There's a lot of talk of Harry Wood possibly going, may not be going. As I say, we're recording this on Sunday night and we'll know more later through the week. But Shels finished the season strong. Their midfield was very good. I think young Henry Francis will be a big player for them. McElroy in middle of field, JJ Lunny, they have tasty. Like, they're definitely, I think it's just the final third. Like, most teams are looking for that striker to get you the goal. But I think Shels again, Joey O'Brien, the Damien Duff factor, Damien who now I suppose it is when they left. Joey O'Brien kept that ship going, like. Yeah,
the money that they've spent, like, and obviously they're generating that from that European run, which is a big incentive for Derry City to go on a kind of running and generate that kind of income where you can build your squad even bigger next year. But they're strong. They're definitely like for me, it's Derry, Rovers, and Shels are the 3 big ones here. Pats, but you would obviously, everybody was tapping them for the title last year.
I was one of them.
Because of the way they finished the year.
Yeah.
I know Stephen Kenny, he's kind of a wee bit more cautious in the fact, but probably preferring the fact that nobody's going to be looking at them and at the top end and they'll be challenging. They look a bit light. in terms of who they've brought in.
Well, he lost, obviously, Mason Mainley was going to be a big loss for any team, but they've obviously brought in Keena's back, and obviously from Derry's point of view, Ronan Boyce has joined them too. But they seem to have a lot of injuries. It's sort of picking up during pre-season, and he's
El Bazouris, guys like that there, who they're going to be looking to kick on this year too.
So I think to be honest, the pressure is on Stephen Kenny because the investment has been made, and he wants to get some pads up at league table, and that's a biggie, you know what I mean? They, not getting into Europe and all too, and it's just a big thing where Stephen Kenny knows himself for the investment and the name of some pads. They have to be up there challenging.
Yeah, I know he was over at Brentford and a couple other, there was a Derby as well too.
Yeah.
During the close season, looking to see if he can pick up things, and he's always been he's an innovative manager. He always has been. He doesn't stand still, so we can see what he's kind of going to adapt and bring to this league. He kind of, I think I was just reading a piece where he's kind of underestimated coming on and how well they were set up from the year before, and it kind of caught him off guard when they weren't. They were picking up injuries, and now, as you say, like Mason Melia, guys like that gone. We've got Ronan Boyce down there. We'll be keeping an eye on how he gets on. I think he's a great signing for them. But a lot of question marks over Pats at the moment.
There's no doubt about it. And then I suppose we're still staying in Dublin with Bowes and Reddy's. Again, he's like a Stephen Kenny situation. Really has to start well for the fact of how many times we were doing last year's podcast. He was get him sacked at half time for about 4 or 5 matches in a row as far as the Pats fans. But he's added two big hickey coming in from Galway. There's a few rumours he could be playing
centre half,
and a back three or whatever. And I don't know what.
Well, he's got the height. He's definitely got the attributes, but does he have the understanding and maybe hold his line and things like that? And
wee nippy striker getting them behind him. I don't know. I think.
But it's like you've got Sam Todd there as well.
And they've obviously signed Diallo too in midfield.
Diallo is going to be a great Diallo is definitely one of my favourite players of the past couple of seasons, and it's unfortunate they couldn't have fit him under this Derry team, But if you've got James McClean, Sal Diallo, you wouldn't think of kind of comparing the two, would you? Before Saturday night.
No.
But Diallo's a great signing for them, I think, and he has been shrewd in the transfer market. He has strengthened them. Probably not finished yet. Bowes, I expect a big push from them.
Well, this is it. Dawson Devoy is now he want to elevate. He was nominated for the Player of the Year, so he wants to elevate himself again. Ross Tierney's still there. The big one they lost is obviously at the Brandywells, James Clark. But you sort of go through the whole league as such. You look now at Sligo, they've lost young Eldon, massive blow. Actually come on today for Hibs against Rangers. He came on as a second half sub. They drew 0-0 against Rangers. I don't know how he got on, but I've seen he come on. But that just tells you, what I mean? Hibs are looking at him, signed him, and he's straight in their squad, and he hasn't kicked the ball. It's not like he's played much football since the end of the season. But he's a big blow for them going.
Definitely. And the thing is with John Russell, you have to give him credit, because year on year he is losing his best players. But Eldon's just offered him so much, for a guy of his young years. He was one of their talisman. They don't really have, in my eyes, I haven't looked closely at their squad and of the guys that they brought in, but I don't think they've anybody to replace him for a start. But up that top end of the pitch, I think they'll be struggling. We've got obviously Jackie's there too as well, but you've got another ex-Derry City man, Kavanagh, up top for them, and
Will Fitzgerald,
who's their captain this year as well, and other than that, I don't see too much from them. They be first of all, in terms of Europe or anything like that, I think they're going to fall well short of that.
But I think it's every year we sort of thinking they might struggle, but they always, to be fair to John Russell again, he signed somebody you never heard of, and he gets some results. Ellis Chapman always springs to mind, so I think
Kiki is
he's done really well. So it's a case of John Russell pulling something out of the hat and doing well. Waterford, it's all changed down there. New manager in there now too. But they still have young man up front. You know what I mean? That's the biggie.
Harry Hammond, and you have his critics this year again too, and his doubters, and he just keeps like defying the years, like, you know what I mean, and by banging in the goals, top goal scorer, and he's just brilliant at what he does, Kev, like, isn't he? He's a torture for centre halves, and if you've got him in a score, if you've got a goal scorer, then you've got half a chance.
Aye.
You know, and he's going to get you 20 goals a season, you would expect. Like.
Obviously, Dundalk came up. Conor Cairns, keeper-wise, he's added on up at the top end of the pitch. We know a man that formerly branded with Danny Mullen. You're excited about him.
I am. I think, and he's just the pressure's off a wee bit more. Maybe he gets a wee bit more game time.
Owen Kenny up with him, Stephen Kenny.
That'd be an interesting wee partnership too.
Northern
if
Ireland
they played together.
Like, so, you know.
I think I actually like what Dundalk have done in terms of their build. Now, I think they're going to be a force and challenge in either. No, I think I would put them in with like Sligo Rovers, Dundalk kind of bracket there, maybe even Waterford on the three teams there. Now, you make your predictions like this, Kev, and you know, and people are laughing at you after 3 or 4 weeks.
Exactly.
But you've got to think in terms of how they've come up, and they're still building. They're still using a lot of youngsters. Still like Daryl Horgan there as well too, with that experience. But I just think they're when you compare their squads to the squads that Derry now have, and the Rovers and Bows, you know, it's hard for them to get they sort of challenge there.
Well, this is it, and I know a couple of years ago Galway was the team that was sort of in the mix, and you know, can they get into Europe, and it just faded away. There's changes there too again, you know what I mean. They've obviously lost Hickey. And you know, John Coffey's a different number 2 on with him now, because obviously Dilly went to Waterford, so a lot of things have changed at Galway too, but they're always tough down at Tiernan.
Well, that's it, and they're going to be good at what they do, and they're going to be hard to beat. Coffey's wily old fox, like, you know, he's been around, knows the league. He again, you talk about, you know, plucking guys from obscurity. Like, I know that, like, a lot of players coming over from the Canadian leagues, from America and things like that too. So they do a lot of that kind of recruitment. So you just don't know what they've got up their sleeve. I haven't obviously seen any of them.
I've seen a wee bit of
so.
friendly. I've seen them. They played harps, and they brought a few boys on. There's a lot of team sheet was trialist. Conor McCormick actually more off the bench that day, and slotted on the right back. But I think it was more of a trialist situation, just checking things out. And then you sort of look at Kevin Doherty at Drogheda. Every year the man just keeps losing players, and if they kept big announcement by keeping Keeley or Heaney, the centre half, keeping him for another couple of years. It's a big signing for them, keeping him on there. And Drogheda always do, particularly at home, they're always tasty.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Kevin Doherty. It was around the time Darren Markey was coming and getting announced to Derry, and he was just, you know, his head in his hands kind of thing, going, we just can't compete. We just literally can't offer what these other clubs are offering, but he still does it, and that he's got no budget, and he's working miracles every year. You know, getting them onto Europe, getting them winning cup finals and stuff like that. So he's just a bit like that sort of siege mentality where it's us against everybody else. You know, we're you know, and it works for him. He gets the best out of the players. He gets an extra 10% out of them. Darren Markey speaks very, very highly of him and what they've done, but obviously he wanted to move on to a higher level now. He knows at that stage of the career it's a league title. He's not going to get it at Drogheda, but Drogheda will be there. They'll be hard to beat, and we're looking forward to see who he's brought on and what way they set up.
You know, they're always, as I say, we keep saying it down there. There's to them, they're pitch tight, good atmosphere. Always difficult, no matter who you have, your Shamrock Rovers, your Derry City, or your Galway, it's always going to be a tight game there. Well, Simon, obviously, Derry was the sort of first competitive look for everybody. Would have been the Stewart game. Wasn't really, they didn't have much of a team on there. The President's Cup, and you've seen everybody. And you've quite a few players to come back, but boys that really impressed. Thomas up front, I thought was excellent. Darren Markey gets his goal and done really well. And you also, as James Clark, I thought was tasty, you know, just keeping things together, and you could see glimpses of him. Like,
well, we got 6 of the new signings. We know we knew really what two of those guys were. They're back in their candy stripes, the McClean brothers. But we've already mentioned what James brought to the table. Like, the formation was something that we were kind of, it was the same in the Ballykeeman World Cup, the four at the back as well. So, but that was a wee bit of, we were thinking beforehand who's going to play where. And it was funny, you pointed out at one stage in the second half when the subs were made that there was like the four at the back were all left footers.
All left pigs.
And it's crazy how many left footers. Like, it's usually the opposite, isn't it? Like, but you can feel the full 11 with left footers. Like,
that's the big thing. Everybody so far, Tiernan's added, even young Rob Slavin's come in. He's the hunger too. They've all come in with something to prove to other clubs or to themselves. Just they want things. And then you bring back Patrick and James. They don't need to prove nothing. No. They just want to do it for their hometown team. Like, so it's definitely another addition. I don't think it'll be the last. I think, to be honest, I think they'll be looking. But you know, we looked at the President's Cup tie. Liam Boyce didn't feature. Gavin White didn't feature. You've Dummigan in the stand. You've Dippo in the stand. You know, so there's still a lot, you know, to be sort of excited about.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, how things go from the whole changing room is how it's going to be. It's just managing that whole changing room and keeping the sort of the players that aren't featuring that much, keeping them happy.
Yeah, it's a big group now, like, and you're going to have competition in every department now. Everything else on what we've seen on Saturday is gets you excited. Those like nearly 700 fans travelled down to Tala, made brilliant noise, and they would have loved that. And not getting carried away. They're people. You can get carried away with one on a pre-season cup, but I think people they know that this is what it is. It's the start of it. You know, it's a good start. It's exciting. It's something they build on. You can see the different dynamics around the pitch. The Markey and James Clark, they're connected. Markey talked about afterwards. You know, he just enjoys playing it. These guys are coming. They've come with big reputations in the league. They've won stuff in the league as well, but they know that playing with these better players every day, you know, the amount of talent in that Derry squad, it makes them better, makes them step up, you know, and motivates them to do better. So we're going to get the best out of these players at their prime age as well, a lot of them, like the Clarks and the Markeys and then Mickey, we were saying he was quiet for a long time because he was out there kind of isolated on the left side. But if James and him make up get a wee relationship there, and Fleming, that could be our focal point of the team.
Yeah.
You know, but Josh Thomas, you mentioned, I thought he was outstanding. I knew what he was all about in terms of pace.
Yeah.
The guy has no fear, and that's what I loved about him. Like, I know he's like 4 foot what, but he you know, I tell you what, and he's built and he's strong and he's got a superb touch. There was one that came at him and he just took it down the inside of the foot, turned and went. He's also holding up the play as well, which is, I don't think he had on him as well. So he's for me, he's an all-rounder, like, and aggression and the tackle, and you know, he's.
Well, the big thing that you seen, I think it was one time Rob Slavin just literally played ball over the top and just says to him, run. And he ran down the wing, and I think he was running back with Dan Cleary, and he won a free kick high up the pitch, and you just went, that's what you need. Let's get the team up now, and that gives you that option. We just laying that up then. But you're talking about Darragh Markey. I know we were speaking to Tiernan after it, and even whenever he signed him, he says he wants him to get his figures up, double his figures, and creating chances and getting goals. Well, that is something that I spoke to him about after the game on Saturday down at Tala, and this is what he had to say. Well, one start there and a goal, and I know your manager just alluded to that. You wanting goals this season, and well, what a way to get it.
Yeah, happy days. Delighted. I think it was important to get off to a good start and get off the mark early. You know, it's a game that I participated in last year as well and came out on the other side. So delighted to win the game. To be honest, it's good to have it in the silverware. So delighted, off to a good start with the team and trying to build that bit of momentum now as well. It's important. You
know yourself. Yes, it's the President's Cup, and you can lay down a marker, but next Friday night against Sligo's the biggie.
100%, yeah. No, it doesn't count really at the end of the day. It's just it's a competitive friendly at the end of the day, you know. So at the same time, it's important mentally to get a win under our belts, particularly against Rovers. But 100% the most important games start from next Friday. So every game's going to be a cup final, and look, once we give that effort and show our quality, hopefully it's going to be a good season and an enjoyable season for everyone involved.
And I know your manager's just alluded this season is about getting your numbers up, not just goals. You playing sort of different position, you were getting further forward this season, is that something you'll be looking for?
Yeah, kind of playing on the right side at the moment. Look, I know when I was talking to Tiernan before signing, he said that he saw me playing anywhere across the front three, and look, there's competition all over the attacking areas of the pitch, so it's just up to myself to kind of keep them levels up. And look, I'm playing with on the other side, I'm playing with really good players when I am on the pitch, so hopefully just naturally goals and assists will come with that.
There you are, Simon. He sort of spoke away about, I agreed that, the gaffer had said they may want to get the tally of goals and assists up, and it's not bad, 1-on-1.
What a finish it was too. He's got that in his locker. But I think he scored 4 in the league and 1 in the cup for Drogheda last year, which has sort of, he should be doing a lot more than that. But in terms of the way Drogheda play and everything else, and it's kind of restrictions of that, because it would have played a lot of a defensive kind of role in that too. But he's got 1 now already, and I think Tiernan Lynch, he says, look, you owe me 14 more. So we know what his target is for the season. I don't see why he can't get 15 goals. And if he's getting 15 and Mickey does what he did last year, you get Liam Boyce got 11 goals last year. If you've got goals coming from all around this team
that's
here,
what you have to do.
Then and if you looked at that Saturday's performance, and that's what excited me most, when we're counter-attacking, and Josh Thomas gives you a brilliant outlet. But also, there was 2 or 3 different occasions we were on the break, and it was Mickey Duffy going down the left. It was Darren Markey was away down, but there was people. There was Adam O'Reilly or
Dos Santos.
Or Dos Santos was in. Dos Santos, how he didn't score that one.
No.
The
rebound's worse.
The rebound on the left foot. And I think he maybe had a wee bit too much time to pick a spot, but there was just so many options there when we were just like, it was like a red arrows at times.
It definitely was. It is a case too where, Derry sort of have to look at this. I know we alluded to it last year, but I couldn't believe it. I was looking at the fixtures before we came in here, and Shamrock Rovers start as Dundalk, and then they have, before they play Derry, Pats, Bows, Shells, and then Derry. Like, no disrespect, that's an absolutely stomping start for them. Fair play to them. You come out with valuable points here, and this is where you go with Derry. 4 home games in a row. Mm-hmm. You could be going to Tala with 12 points in your hip pocket, and you could be going to Tala with a lead over them, because no disrespect, Pats, Bows and Shells all have to start well too.
Yeah, they do, and that's the opportunity that they've got. I think just with the momentum from Saturday would have done them the world of good in terms of confidence, and with the fans behind them, the excitement, even from the James McClean signing and things like that, it's just snowballed, the excitement around the Brandywell.
I think the excitement started from James Clark. To be honest with you, Clark really kicked off. In fairness,
that was like a marquee signing there. I know Marquee was before that in Slaven, but those signings were definitely building that sort of excitement and momentum. And then it's going to be a sold-out Brandywell. Everybody's just dying. They see it, especially that performance on Saturday is going to make everybody even more excited. They see it. I think I'm going to be the only one not there, Kev.
Unbelievable. First game of the season, bottling it, but that's another story. We'll worry about that next week. Talking about the first game of the season and the build-up, and we're talking about the Brandywell. There was a bit of news, obviously, this week. The Brandywell, Celtic Park now looks to be the go-ahead. Yep. Come April, we're all moving to Celtic Park for 5 or 6 games or whatever. That's massive news for the club.
Huge. It's the only thing, and you don't want to have any kind of negativity towards it, but could it be disruptive for the team and where they're going? Now, you're going across your 400 yards up the street. It's your home venue, and the whole, if it's Shamrock Rovers for that first game at Celtic Park, the whole history of it and everything else, I'm sure that'll be built up and there'll be a huge crowd, and then you've got that in your back. This could be a wee fortress over there for us. They come back on their lovely spanking new Is it 95%
grass
pitch?
5%? Yeah, I don't know.
But it's great, and it's another move towards Derry having like more control and ownership of that Brandywell, which is going to be their home. Obviously, any other places locations that we were looking at, Templemore, Fort George, all the rest, it seems to be Brandywell's the only show now here.
Yeah.
And the improvements that Phillips made, $3 million under the North Stand, which is a huge success, and how quickly got that up and on use. You know, we're going to be upgrades on the South End Park stand, I'm sure. We looked at Tala too, and the way they've done their upgrades, and you know, in the media facilities. You know, they look plus. See if we could move towards that kind of advancements in terms of the media and the hospitality side of things. Then you're going up to that, you know, Grade 3 UEFA standard stadium that's going to host those bigger games as well. But the grass pitch is, you know, I was chatting to Brian Maher the other day about it, and he's saying, like, thank God this is getting wrapped up. For a keeper, imagine, like it's bad enough when, you know, we're Liam Boyce and it's bouncing off his shins and he just can't read the ball. But for a keeper, and you're going down and you're basically hitting concrete. You know what I mean? He just can't wait to see the back of it, and it's going to make a huge difference to the way Derry play.
Well, this is up, and it's just, as you said earlier, but the improvements that Philip continues to do, and the council this time have backed them unanimously at the meeting last week. It's positive for not just Derry City, and the Winster's just going to be using it. So look, it's great that this is happening, and it's massive that the club can have somebody like the city can have somebody like Philip Woodhardy can do this. Yeah. It's great for everybody, and as I say, the Derry City fans and players are all excited to be okay. The brand going up to Celtic Park, it's going to be a novelty. It's going to be something different for 5-6 games, whatever it'll be. And then you can back the new Brandywell. It's just like the place is going to be bouncing again. Like,
and you just hope at that stage, like, you know, if it's June, say, that, you know, that's the build up to the European matches, then that Europa League game, it's going to be fever pitch again too. But you just hope they're in a good position league wise at that stage. They maybe just kick on, and, you know, that could be like, you know, the real sort of kickstarter then, like, you know, that takes them the whole way under the end of the season. Like.
Well, this is up, and then it's just because of the excitement, and everybody's sort of, right, we can't wait for Friday night now, let's get this season going. And then even you look in on Sunday, you've got Bows hosting St. Pat's at the Aviva. I think they're close to their target that they wanted sellout wise. Like the vibe is still really vibrant for the League of Ireland. It's still there, the appetite for people to go. You can't really ask for much more, like. No,
and it really is. Like, that's going to be a cracker match. Like, they kick things off as well too. But I don't underestimate the James McClean factor in it all too. Like, and we got a wee taster firsthand of how chaotic it could be. Like, but just having him back as, like, you know, as a face of the League of Ireland now, like, too, it's just going to
he's taking over from Duffer. Is that what you're saying to me?
Without a doubt, we predicted that last week. I think you'll think, that he was.
We didn't think it was going to be so soon.
No, he didn't need to just take just the one match, like, but it was just seeing it. He stole the show in terms of the whole experience of it. Like, you know, it was shushing the Rovers fans. Even that outburst in the press room, and you know, but even just talking to them afterwards, he gets so much passion for this club and for the league, and he just has no fear, like, and that's what we needed going on. I think that's been the big sort of click of the switch, is when you go down to Tala, like we showed on Saturday, that we've no fear. We've got a squad that's very capable of competing with yours, so it all bodes well, I think.
Well, I suppose we're at that sort of stage now. It's too early. I know we don't like you do it this early, and we'll get stuck for it, but we have to go with predictions. So we'll go with a top three.
Top three, I think, is fair enough.
So who are you going with your top? So we'll go third first.
Third, I'm going with Shells third. Shelburne third.
To be honest, I think our top three is going to be exactly the same.
I do as well. Well, I'm going to go one better, like, I think.
So am I.
Well, it's hardly exactly the same, man.
Well, it's going to be. It's going to be exactly
the same three.
Yeah.
Derry City, I think, are going to win this league. I'll just have. You can feel it, like, you can feel something special happening here.
Rovers second.
Rovers second, obviously.
I can't disagree with that. To be honest, I think the big thing for Tiernan And the squad is the dynamics in the changing room.
Yeah.
Is keeping everybody happy. Is, I suppose, keeping James to be, well, just keep ways here, settle ahead. Don't be going crazy all the time. We need you to be going.
We need you on the pitch too.
I think if you can keep the dynamics in the change room to the way they were last year, they showed that never say die attitude coming through from games where we're behind, come back to draws, come back to get victories. That has to continue in that dressing room, and there's a lot of changes in that dressing room from last season. So that's the biggie. If that can happen, I think Derry this year can go that step further and finally end the hoodoo. And I didn't think I would be saying that.
No.
But I do think that, now don't get me wrong, folks, come July we could be like, no, sorry boys, we did warn you. But no, I think this year it can be Derry, Rovers, Shells is my top three.
I agree totally. Like, they've got everything there in their arsenal now to go and do it. This is the best chance Derry City has had in a long, long time. They won this league, so here's hoping.
Well, on that positive note, folks, join us next week. Where we're doing it, how we're doing it, God only knows. Buffalo Boy will not be here, that's all I'm saying.